Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my reaction to Spyfall Part 2, the second episode of Doctor Who Series 12. This is actually not my first take of this. My first take didn't have the audio sound in sync that I've sometimes got to play with, and it did that for quite a few pieces of footage of things I was filming on Monday and Wednesday, and because there was so much footage with out of sync in the editing, it was not worth it. I'm just deciding to redo it. If it was just one or two videos, I'd put up with it, unless they were too long. But because it was so many footage and so many videos, I'm going to redo all of them. So here we go, Spyfall Part 2 reaction as our first one. So, okay, following the events of Spyfall Part 1, the Doctor is now in a alternative universe, and she manages to explain how she's there and how Yasmin got there due to the fact that they're time travellers. And the Doctor's also an alien. Anyway, there she meets Ava Lovelace, or who would become Ava before she's Ava Lovelace, she's Ava... maiden name, is it Ava Byron? Possibly, because she's the Lord Byron's daughter. Anyway, so the Doctor meets future Ava Lovelace, or Ava future Mrs. Lovelace, and manages to eventually wake themselves up and find themselves back in Victorian, well, actually, is it Victorian? Might even be Georgian England. So anyway, they wind up there, and they meet Charles Babbage as well. However, the Master has discovered that they have escaped and pursues her down there, and also uses a bit more of his tissue compressor eliminator on a couple of people. I think from what I can see in the prop on the first viewing, it looks like a mixture of the tissue compressor unit, merged with Missy's device that she used in series 8 and 9, merged together to make a new tissue compressor eliminator. Possibly, might have to have a better look later, or it might just be another gadget. Meanwhile, the fam, as they're known, are trapped in a plane, but the Doctor has, well, later on in the story, she goes back in time and gives them a way out to save themselves from the plane. And they're able to fly the plane back down to the ground and go on the run. So Daniel Barton has them printed all around, I'd say printed is a loose term, as fugitives, criminals. And fam have to go on the run in the dark without technology. Eventually, they realise that they've got gadgets that can help them out, and they go after Barton. Meanwhile, the Doctor, after a confrontation with the Master, and Ava Lovelace accidentally go to World War II, Paris 1943. It's that story. Well, Ava accidentally tags along. The Doctor's trying to get back to the 21st century, but they end up in the 20th. Step forward, and they meet, I can't remember her name, but it's the first British spy behind enemy lines, with the code, with the wireless messaging technology, and also a Muslim spy who's also a pacifist. The Doctor gets on with her very well. So this one, I think it's Noor Shan Khan. That's probably wrong, but yeah, they meet her. The Master has now turned up as a German officer, and he's hunting the Doctor. So the Doctor decides to meet him and also gives him the code in a code the Master would only recognise. Yeah, the 4 knocks are back. Nice. I love that reference. Also a nice reference, when they do meet on the Eiffel Tower, they reference Logopolis as well with the radio telescope. So there's a nice couple of references to both classic and previous series in the revived era stories. So after a confrontation, the Master is captured by the Germans. He reveals he's got some sort of technology that makes a perception filter for them, but the Doctor manages to turn it off after having her friends put out a false code about him. And she eventually gets back to the 21st century using the Master's TARDIS with Ada and Noor's help. Meanwhile, Daniel Barton is attempting to because the thing with the creatures is the Corellians. These creatures, they're alternative universe creatures, and they're jumping between universes, and for some reason they want to become humans. I think that's the case. They're putting them into humans, the hard drives, etc., as Daniel Barton does. And I do have to say, around here, there is a nice parallel, a nice political commentary on use of use on technology, constant use on and reliance on technology, and how governments and spy organizations can use it to spy on people's private lives, even though they claim it's private. No one's looking in, but in reality, there is always something looking in. Oh God, does that mean they know what I look at on the internet? Mostly YouTube, but yeah. Oh shit! The job that history browser app is a thing. Good job, you can clear your history. Anyway, so yeah, Barton's attempting to take people's brains as bodies actually as hard drives for these creatures for some reason, bar a few exceptional people like himself. And the Master is somehow involved in this plot, but he's going to get rid of everybody once he's done with them. And somehow throughout history, these creatures have been established as spies, as revealed at the end of part 1, but spies throughout history as opposed through alternative Earths. So different time periods, and all dealing with the development of the computer, from Ava Lovelace developing Charles Babbage's calculations and machines, to Nor's technology that she has helping with the British during World War II, to Daniel Barton's technology company and modern day tech. So actually, that's a pretty cool way to tie it all in. I will say how it stopped is a bit rushed. It is a bit hurried up, but I think it's done all right. Barton escapes, and I have a feeling he's coming back later in the series, because we don't see him arrested or killed, so I'm presuming he's coming back. He gets an extraction. I don't know if it's 100% clear if they say why he's 93% human and what the other 7% is. That might be coming up later on. And because of that, he's able to work with these interdimensional beings and the Master. Also, a nice little gag with the Master being trapped on Earth for 77 years and having to live through the entire 20th century without doing anything, such as getting involved with his previous selves, like with Delgado in the 70s or 80s, depending on the protocols, and with Sim when he was the Prime Minister back in 2008, as the stories between Aliens of London and Journey's End were all set a year in the future. So, because the stories from Aliens of London to Journey's End were all set a year in the future to when they were being released, when the stories were being released on television. That's the present day stories, that is. And apart from Sound of Drums Last of the Times, where they had the Year That Never Was, that went into 2009 as well. Anyway, so after that, the Master is then taken back to the alternative universe by the Corellians because of his announcement of betrayal to them and Barton. And he gets trapped there. I'm sure he's going to escape. I'm sure he's going to pull an Amy and just escape and probably not give an explanation to. That's what Moffat was trying to do with Missy. With the Master just escaping and turning up. That's what he was. That's how he described it. The Master escapes and just says, "I escaped," more or less. That actually is really good. I actually would like to hear the Master say that at some point. The Doctor goes, "How did you escape from so-and-so?" The Master goes, "I escaped." And the Doctor goes, "Fair enough." Or something along those lines. It's just humorous. Hey, if they can get away with it with Amy and Delgado and, Gomez as well. And hey, if they can get away with it with previous Masters saying, just escaping, then I'm sure Dewin can escape this alternative dimension without a TARDIS and without Corellian help. He'll escape. By the way, he's got himself a TARDIS. Well, I suppose it's John Sims' TARDIS. Well, actually, I don't know where this Master is set in the actual timeline. I'm not actually sure. We're presuming Missy. Because unlike with Missy, they don't actually say where afterwards, with Missy, she said it in Death in Heaven, she mentions Gallifrey, after the events of the Day of the Doctor. So, yeah, I'm not sure where Doohan's incarnation comes at the moment. Possibly after Missy, we'll see. Would be pretty cool. But then again, you have had past Masters interact with future Doctors and past Doctors interact with future Masters. So, including on television, as seen in the Five Doctors, for example. So, yeah, it's possible. Anyway, so the story wraps up with the Doctor going to save the companions through the really clever flying the plane thing, and then goes to Gallifrey. The Master was claiming that when he went last, it's more or less been attacked and almost destroyed and nuked. So and the Doctor goes and sees that he was telling the truth, unlike in Death in Heaven, where Missy pretty much gives him a lie about it. And then the Master reveals in a hologram that he destroyed it because there was a big secret the Time Lords had hidden about their lives, and it's a whole fake. The stories of the Founding Fathers it's a whole lie. Everything you know is a lie, and there's something to do with the Timeless Child, which is hidden in the consciousness of all Time Lords, but not really well known. The Revenants, the rappy creatures from the Ghost Monument in Series 11, they knew about it. So we're going to find out about that. We sort of see a glimpse of what potentially could be the Timeless Child, or a early Gallifreyan. Maybe we'll see glimpses of that. I hope Gallifrey doesn't. I do have to say Gallifrey is being ping-ponged in the terms of coming back, going away again. Because Russell T Davies, he didn't really like the Time Lords, so he had the Time War idea, and it also helped with Eccleston's Doctor's development. And without the Time Lords, with destroying the Time War, apart from the Doctor and later also the Master, so the Time War, and then in the Day of the Doctor, the Doctors saved Gallifrey, so they weren't the last of the Time Lords anymore. So the Gallifrey was now back, but they didn't really do anything with it. Series 9, they did have a story on Gallifrey, Hellbent, and they just abandoned it midway, the Gallifrey story, and they pretty much ruined, in my opinion, what Day of the Doctor was trying to set up. So now we've got this whole new, maybe because Chibnall would have to work around doing that, so he decides maybe to just have Gallifrey nearly destroyed again. The planet's still there, but it's pretty much everyone complete, more or less destroyed on the surface. Maybe that will be the story. Maybe the Doctor will be able to find a way to save Gallifrey, or maybe it is a trick by the Master after all, possibly. But certainly we're going to be trying to find out what this Timeless Child thing is, and see what that's like, and then maybe later down the line Gallifrey will be resurrected once again, and this time keep it resurrected. And if they're not going to do that by the end of Series 12, keep it dead until towards the end of 13's era, then bring it back, properly resurrect it, and then let it stick around for whoever's coming up next in the showrunner business. Because I would have if I was running the show, I would have Gallifrey there and do the occasional Gallifrey story every other year, or have some sort of connection with Time Lords, and also have a couple of other Time Lords out there, like the Master, for example, being like with Delgado and Amy, a constant presence. And I think we are going to have that with Doohan, because it's Series 12, Episodes 1 and 2. This is the 13th Doctor's second series, and it's the opening story. The Master being introduced here implies that he could make further appearances later down the line in the 13th Doctor's era. Maybe one or two more in Series 12, and then a couple more in 13, 14, 15, depending on how many the 13th Doctor, depending on how many seasons Jodie does, or Chris Chibnall does. So we could see some more Master stories with Doohan later down the line, as opposed to, let's say, with Sim, who was introduced a little bit later in Series 3, and they only had a few stories with him. Three before, and they only had 2 stories with him. 3, if you include Series 10's finale, but that was a guest appearance with his future self. With Michelle Gomez, they built up Missy throughout Series 8 before the reveal in the finale. Then they had her appearance in Series 9, and then they sort of had appearances on and off in Series 10, but not as to a similar way to Delgado, Amy, or hopefully in the future, long run, Doohan. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he's going to do a Amy style Master, where it will pop up every other couple couple of times in the series to bother the Doctor and companions. But yeah, okay, Spyfall Part 2. I thought this was a good story. I enjoyed it. A couple of answers from the past episodes, questions from the first episode answered. I still want to know why Daniel Barton's 93% human and what the other 7% is. I don't think that's explained. But the rest of it, I think, pretty well wrapped up, really great, and I'm loving the new mystery setup, even though Gallifrey is being played ping pong again. But you know, it'll probably be fine in a few years' time. So yeah, all in all, I think Spyfall Part 2 is a very good follow up. I think it's slightly better than episode 1, and I did watch Mr. Ty's review on that, and also before doing this, Jean-Luc Harry's review on the Universals on it, and they did point out a couple of flaws of that episode, so I might see some of that in the rewatch of the episode from my review. But certainly, I think Spyfall Part 2, after the first viewing, was a very good story. There might be some hiccups I might see in a rewatch or notice in further reviews I see, but certainly I think this is a very good episode. And I look forward to seeing what else is coming up from Series 12, especially with this story idea. That being said, today I also watched a upcoming clip from Episode 3, Orphan 55. It's a bit more of a fan humour moment, and to me it felt very Series 11 humour, which might be what we are sticking with for now because of the characters and era, but it just felt like it was from a Series 11 script rather than a Series 12 script. And maybe the episode itself will be very good, but that one scene makes me think it sounds like a very Series 11 script. I'm not sure how I would describe a Series 12 script, but I think I'm not sure, but it just felt more Series 11 than what we already had in Series 12 so far. We'll see how it goes. That was just less than 2 minute clip, so we'll see. Don't even know if it was even a minute, to be honest. So we'll see how it goes. It's written by Ed Heim, who wrote It Takes You Away, which I didn't really take to that much, but I know a lot of people did, or a lot of people who liked Series 11 did. FYI, with that clipping, the clip includes these sort of creatures with tentacles mating and the fam having to mop the floor. Not going to complain about that because that might actually be an interesting idea that Doctor Who could work, even if it's just for a funny gag. Besides, I leave the complaining of such little things to other people who will rant and bitch about every single little minute detail of the show because the Doctor's a woman. Yeah, that's really the only reason why they bitch and moan. Okay, so yeah, or try to create excuses to bitch and moan or for everything. Anyway, so that's it from my reaction of Spyfall Part 2. I shall react to Orphan 55. I'm actually going to react to all of the episodes before doing full reviews. Anyway, so I'll see you guys for the proper Spyfall review for both Parts 1 and 2, the overall story, and also for my reaction and review of Orphan 55. And I will be reviewing Episode 4, and at the moment looking like 7, but might swap with 8 for the Universals. So there'll be a link video in place of the official review on the main channel that will link that main review, those Universals reviews, one for each episode, I should say. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. Got my 13th Doctor mug that I got from Masalan back in June 2019. It's if you go on my Whovian Domino, there's a whole post about it. Might talk about it a bit later, actually. Anyway, so the Doctor meets future Mrs. Lovett. Anyway, so the Doctor meets future Ada Lovelace. That was just some sort of... Never mind. Whilst... Eventually they're... that might tie in with his latest story, and because of that, he's able to work with these aliens. And he just abandoned it mid-ship. Script, and what I mean by that is that Spyfall felt a little bit more different. What I was saying in Resolution's review, it looks like we were moving closer to what I was hoping. Was it resolutions review, that or some sort of hope for series 12, that we were moving toward, we were starting to, no, never mind, I'll just cut this bit. Maybe the episode, excuse me, and, okay, so I'll see you guys next time, I'll see you guys